So we can get started, and I'll just start it with so welcome everyone. This is Beers, Bros, and Biz, episode 1. So cheers, I guess, first of all, the kickoff. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Toast. A toast to our founder, originator, Israel Laguno.
Izzy Laguno.
This SOB is getting married in a few weeks, and we're so excited to be with him now and later.
Nice candy also.
But so back to the main topic. So this is Beers, Bros, and Biz, episode 1. We're just a group of friends here that kind of met at work here in.
I'd say we're more than friends.
Yeah, friends, family. But recently, what happened is our two friends, Sharoon and Alvin, left their jobs to start their MBAs in opposing coasts of the U.S. Where Alvin went to the East Coast, Sharoon went to the West Coast, and also Roy did that a while ago, and he got his MBA over a year ago and went overseas. And we'll get into intros in a minute here. But the purpose of this is just for me, who is not attending business school. I wanted to catch up with my friends, and two, just steal some of their knowledge, right? I want to not fall behind on what they're learning, and also I'm very curious and interested on what the life of a full-time MBA student post professional job is like. So with that quick intro, we'll get into just some quick introductions. So Roy, you being the actual MBA holder, or I guess person, if you want to go ahead and give a quick intro on you.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Izzy. So MBA stands for Master of Barely Anything. Looks like we've lost one guy. There he is. But yeah, so studied engineering, like all of these guys did, mechanical engineering. Worked for a diesel engine company for 6 years. Knew from the beginning that was not the place to stay forever. Diesel engines, not exactly the future. I wanted to be a part of renewable energies, energy transition, moving away from fossil fuels. That's part of why I went to school in Europe. I think the US has probably the best innovations in the world, but from a federal level, less regulatory push for decarbonization than Europe. So studied in France for a year, had a great time at the MBA, and now working in Germany for a utility company doing some international project management, geothermal energy, and some other cool stuff.
Awesome. Nice. Alvin, you joined. I like it. I like the background. Do you want to go ahead and give a quick intro?
Yeah, sure.
He's got his pronouns.
Yep. Alvin Cheth. Hi, nice to meet everybody. I was born in Malaysia. Spent a decade growing up in Singapore, and then moved back to Malaysia because of dad's business, and then came to the US for mechanical engineering in 2008. I got a couple of degrees from Purdue University, and then joined Cummins full-time as a service engineer. Spent about 7.5 years working for Cummins, several roles, traveling the world supporting customers and their products. Most recently, I worked for supporting data centers, actually, for big strategic accounts. MBA and the full-time program has been kind of a pipeline dream of mine, but I really didn't know what my reason was to do it, right? And in the last couple of years, I've been kind of soul searching and understanding why I really want to do it. And I found myself kind of reading all these company announcements and all the strategic moves and not have any say in them. And I was like, it'd be really cool to kind of move the needle in these big companies and help lay out the strategic initiatives and plans. So I went on a mission to understand, how do I do that? I found a corporate strategy team within Cummins and did a stretch assignment and found that I enjoyed the work. Fast forward to today, got into school here at University of Virginia, Darden School of Business. And, I'm considering what careers I'll be going to after. So corporate strategy is still one of them. But in the tech industry, maybe. And then, even considering a career in consulting. So those are the couple options that I have. Doing some soul searching at the moment and seeing what is the right fit for me. As you may know, I have a daughter. She is about 22 months old. So, my family is priority. I want to make sure that there's work-life balance. And at the same time, I can do what I set out to do. Yep, that's my story.
Yeah, I was about to say, what you want to mention something about your family too, right? It's different for someone with a family, someone who doesn't have a child. But so Sharoon, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm Sharoon Kumar. I was born in India. I went to school in India as well for undergraduate, and I moved to Florida to do my master's in engineering. I was really passionate about the engineering aspect of it. I worked as an engine tuner at the same company for the longest time. But during this time, I realized I wanted to work in clean energy. I wanted to do more impactful work, be able to make decisions that have a broader impact on people. So I wanted to do MBA for a long time. This year, everything aligned and worked out. So moved here. Here I'm to the Haas School of Business, and I'm going to spend my time trying to recruit for strategy, like Alvin said, and also try and pursue entrepreneurship. Try and see if I can work on some clean tech projects. My school has a very specific track that you can follow to bring viable clean energy technology to market, and that's going to be my my near-term goal.
Awesome. So that was we'll get to know each other. We'll get more info on us as we talk some more. So for this first episode, I'd like to just go and get your experience on your first weeks. Roy, and if you remember about a year ago, what it was like to move your stuff overseas, right? I mean, it's how big of a change was it? Was it hard? Was it what was the most difficult thing about it? Aside from all that, we'll get to just the moving aspect of it and transitioning to that area. We won't spend too much time on it because I also want to go through once you got there, once school officially started, what this first week is like. So I guess these guys, Sharoon and Alvin have started this week. So this would be the first weekend that they would have after their classes officially started. So while it's still fresh in our minds, I'd like to get their input on how that intro week was, how your cohort, what do you guys think of them, the size, the overall feel of the spread of the diversity, some key learnings, any fun activities that you guys kind of stuck out to you that said, kind of maybe made you realize, oh, this is what this is going to be about. And we'll get into also kind of maybe what your workload was like. What was the first week exhausting, or was it just were you guys just super excited about starting? And then we'll get to a little bit more stuff later. So Roy, you moving from, like you said, in Indiana overseas, what was that transition like?
Yeah, that was super exciting. Moving from Indiana to France, I gave a lot of my stuff away, pretty much everything. Sold my car, got rid of all my furniture, went to the airport with 2 check bags, not speaking French, and just showed up in Paris. So very well prepared. The first week then at INSEAD, I think I had a similar experience to what you'll hear from Alvin and Sharoon, that the first week we both started before actual classes. So I did something called Fundamentals of Business Week. So it was pre-classes, they call it P0, because we work on a period system. So basically it was 4 classes in a cohort of about 50 students. We had like an accounting class, an economics class, leadership communication, and then there was a 4th one. I can't remember right now. But anyway, that first week was intense, but it wasn't the level of intensity of the rest of the year. since it was only 4 classes rather than the usual 6. But it was 2 hours for each lecture. Then you're split up into a group of 5 people, and then you have cases for each of your 4 classes to do. So it was basically 10-hour days for 5 days that first week, but it was super fun. I mean, you're really excited to be there. Everyone's excited to meet new people.
Doesn't feel like 10 hours, right? You're just kind of going from activity to activity, just kind of.
No, I mean, you're super excited, right? Like you're wide-eyed. The teachers are all like phenomenal, really interesting, very personal. It's not like what you get in your undergrad studies. I mean, everyone is an adult. Everyone has chosen to be there. Everyone's making a big investment. People are super engaged. So no one's on their cell phone. And I think it's really an exhilarating feeling. You know, it's one of those times where you don't need a cup of coffee in the morning just because the experience itself wakes you up and gets you excited. So I remember that first week fondly, not just for the excitement of it, but also to jump into like a accounting course and an economics course and realize like, okay, I can do this. You know, it wasn't easy, but it was, yeah, compared to like higher level calculus, it's quite all right.
Was there a difference in what you had experienced with American teachers versus, I know it was still all in English, but was there a difference in style or kind of expectations from?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, well, even in the US, you have a lot of foreign teachers, right? So it's not exactly unusual. And the teachers at INSEAD, they're not like French teachers. I mean, one of them was Israeli, one was Greek. I think one was actually American in that first week. So really what you get is just a mixed bag. And there are differences, definitely. But I think the cool thing about like an international program is, sure, you get a lot of diversity, but at the end of the day, everyone has this very global mindset. So even though a professor might be from Croatia, they're not going to give you a ton of Croatian examples. They're going to give you very global examples. So I think the difference in styles was definitely there, but as far as like the quality of education, it's all at a top global level, which is why I wanted to do it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you get some funny accents though, and some funny expressions that don't make sense to Americans.
That's part of it, right? You got to kind of learn to communicate with international people all the time, right? So you got to pick up on some of those and maybe like understand that what you say they don't understand too, right?
That's the big thing. Yeah, the big thing is being able to speak more neutrally and not, recognize that not everyone in your class is gonna. You have to speak in a way that makes sense to everybody. So if you want to do a good job in this situation, it's the same as if you're working for an international global company. You want to speak clearly. Thankfully, English is the go-to business language, so we have a huge advantage there, but you can't let your Americanism, dominate. I think people generally don't mind if, you're American, that's cool, but you don't want to be speaking in a bunch of slang. I mean, nobody likes that anyway.
Right.
Save that for your boys, save that for your weekends.
And we'll get into that too, with the out of class networking too. We'll talk. That's a big part of it, right? So, so Sharoon, do you want to kind of follow along?
Yeah, I can go next. I think one thing to mention is we started school in the COVID era. So it was way different for us, but similar things. We had week 0 also. It's the week before the week, and they try and get us prepped for what's to come. The highlights of my week 0 was them trying to get us to understand the school culture and all the resources that are available to us, which was quite overwhelming to understand that whatever you need to do, there is some sort of resource that's already set up. And they kept saying that your schedule is going to be so full, you'll have to start picking and choosing what you want to do. And the first week I was like, well, there's a lot of time in the day, you'll be able to do that. But then within the third day, I was like, holy cow, like literally there's double or triple events happening. Like at 6 o'clock, there's 3 events happening. There's one, like a social event happening. Someone's going to go talk about recruiting, and someone is going to, talk about a company or some resource that you have.
And is that for the business school only, or just for the entire like the whole school?
No, just for the business school. And the other question that you asked earlier was the class size. So my school is kind of small. We had 330 students total, and we have 4 cohorts. And they kind of, the first week, what they did to get us all kind of excited about this, we had like a cohort Olympics. So basically every day there was an event that someone from our team participated. We had to collaborate with our team to be successful in that. Virtually, yeah, everything was on online, and they leveraged some new applications like Hopin, which I had never heard of, but it was very efficient for them to set us up into different rooms, set us up, send us to a stage. It was like a virtual, it was pretty much like a virtual office where you're like, okay, go to this room, and there'll be a room that you could go to with only a select number of people. They could set how long you could be in that room before you get kicked out automatically, stuff like that. It was very
virtual stuff. Have there been a lot of technical difficulties? Like, have you been like, oh, well, you know, my audio didn't work, I couldn't get the link to work, my internet sucks?
Well, yes, it was an entire week of technical difficulties because this is the first cohort that did that. There were people from that application, like top people from that application working with the university. So they were there for the entire week, monitoring the systems, making changes and fixes. But I think it sort of exceeded my expectations. I sort of anticipated a Zoom sort of environment, but this new application made it, I think, it improved the experience considerably.
Yeah, even to that. So at work now, it went from, oh, let's just do conference calls, into like using different apps and different websites for depending on the kind of work you're trying to do. It's not just like, you know, this video call and work this out. It's depending on what you're trying to accomplish. There's just so many things that I think are coming out of the necessity to work remote. So pretty cool to see it. And you guys are kind of away with it, right? So
yeah.
So any
and I guess one last thing I want to add to that is Roy's, the way my setup is different than Roy's is completely global. So I think if you look at the diversity numbers, there's probably no concentration from one country. But in my school, the majority of people are from the US, but we have about, I don't know the exact number, but about 30% or 30 or 35% people that are international total. So most of our,
who's traveling the furthest?
There's people from everywhere, man. It's hard to, like, one of the, I guess I've met a lot of people working for Cummins, but one person that I never met was from Moldova. Yeah, but Roy's probably been to Moldova. So yeah, it's been a US centric experience so far.
Alvin, you wanna go? And we have about 5 minutes left on the call.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll rush through. Week 0 was different. It's virtual for us, most 100% virtual, which will be different from our actual classes, which will be hybrid. Our week 0 was focused on, you know, getting to know yourself, you know, what your values are, who you are, what you want to be, and just it's been upgraded, and just kind of understanding what you want to get out of this experience and being genuine, right? That we had one session about, you know, digging deeper, and we had a psychologist come in and talk about, you know, the hierarchical system, you know, the threat system, the achievement system, and the affiliation system, and just talk about how, you know, if you cannot get your affiliation system, which is the relationships and all down, you know, you won't be able to consolidate all your learning, you know, things like that. It's just truly understanding who you are and what your genuine self is, and how that translates to being a leader. I think that's the part that resonated with me the most. Like Sharoon, in a lot of it, it's virtual because of COVID-19. But I see folks that are going above and beyond the call of duty to make those connections, build a network because we have this, you know, thing that's physically stopping us from being with one another. So, you know, there are virtual coffee chats, virtual happy hours, you know, meeting in smaller groups. Like today, we met another set of parents with a young child, you know, things like that, where you don't typically meet right away and find out right away. We are going out of our way to do that. And I'll talk real quick about the hybrid system. Then I'll give it back to you, Israel. So we'll have 20 kids in the classroom, and we'll rotate through every week. So week 2 we'll have another 20, week 3 we'll have another 20, and we'll start back in week 1. And that makes up one section. And there are 4 or 5 sections in our entire class. So it'll be in the 300 some number of kids as well for our year. So 600 in the school.
Nice.
Yep.
So I got a notification from Zoom saying they removed the 40-minute time limit. So
Okay.
Go a little further. But
yep.
I wanted to get to yours. I guess now that you've all kind of gotten to week 1 and you've gotten to know some of your cohort via online. First weekend, is there like a sense of like trying to rank yourself against everybody? Do you feel like you're not doing enough? Do you feel like you're falling behind? Do you feel like you're just floating along? Do you feel like you need to like really step it up? Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go first. Along those lines where Sharon said, you know, fear of missing out, you know, the 3 of you know that, you know, I have the greatest amount of FOMO, right? But someone mentioned, and it's called JOMO, it's a joy of missing out, right? Like you deliberately choose missing it out because you want to give your all to the things that you are focused on. The work is going to be tremendous. You're going to be 3 cases a day, 4 days a week, right? Each case is 20 pages long. You know, I just read my first case yesterday. It took me every bit of 2 hours to read it and write notes. And I was like, this is not sustainable, right?
You're probably gonna get better at it too.
I had breaks too, Roy. Yeah. And in any case, like how do you read all cases every day? And also this is my first case, Roy. So just go easy on me. We have this thing called learning teams where, you know, we have 6 people on a team. 2 people will take 1 case. And so there are 3 cases that will be divided amongst us. And we will read the case, write our notes up, and then share that info. And then we'll do that every day for 4 days a week. And we will get cold called in class, right? It's my first experience tomorrow, so I'll share that with you next week. But Darden is big on the case method, and that's what they pride themselves about. Did I answer your original question?
No. I was asking if like your overall feeling of like are you comparing yourselves to the rest of your cohort?
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone's like starting different things, and like, do you feel like you should be reaching out or setting yourself apart?
Yeah, in my mind, you know, it's only natural you kind of size up against your competition. And if anything, you would feel like, you know, call it imposter syndrome, where you don't belong here. Everyone's so much smarter than you are. You know, you have no business being here. So that's the first thing they tell you. You know, you are bound to feel that. Don't feel that. We are here to support you. And it almost feels like a community, like building each other. Although people might be sizing up each other, but no one's outright saying so, you know?
I guess we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, I'm interested to see if there's like somebody like in your cohort that's just like, okay, losers. Kind of like just really like a shark, right? Kind of out there just, you know, tearing you guys down. Maybe they're not, you know, as good a person as everybody else, but like, you know, maybe I'm interested to see if there was
I think in business school, what's different is you're not really competing with each other, right? Like, I think the grades don't matter. Some people don't even put grades on their resume. I don't know what the policy is for my school yet, but the general consensus is like, if Alan's recruiting for consulting and I'm recruiting for general strategy, like it doesn't matter how well Alvin does or whatever his things are, right? We will never be competing in each other. But that being said, it's I think human tendency to kind of compare yourself to people. And I have spent, I guess, the last time I was in class, or every time I was in class, I was always surrounded by engineers. Pretty much people had very similar background to what I have. And it was just a group of people who were very alike. But this is the first time I'm in a class where I'm with this guy is an F-18 fighter pilot, and there's this guy who is like started his own company when he was like not even 20 and has $500,000 in funding, and people like that. And you're like, man, this is like incredible. I'm really like happy that I'm getting to work with them, study with them, learn from them. But at the same time, you're like, I don't have anything that's like similar, anything close to that. But I'm sure like one of the guys was like, oh my God, engineer that's like really good at math and all these things. I'm like, but it's nothing. To him, what I had was apparently very unachievable.
That's a good point, right? Because I guess, you know, even someone with like so much of like, you know, business experience or something like you that you think is awesome, then maybe they're like, well, I'm no performance engineer, I can't tune an engine. Like, wow, this guy, you know, is just he I don't know, he probably thinks.
But to him, it was a tangible product that I worked on. It was like, oh, this product, I've seen it, you know, and I know about it, and you were part of that team. And I was like, yeah, it was just me and like 5 other guys. We were part of that team. And it's like, what? Like to him, that was incredible. But to me, like what he did was incredible. I was like, so
the grass is always greener on the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
And part of it is like, I guess for me at least, like I have absolutely no idea about financial systems or, you know, startup life.
From subreddit Wall Street Bets. That's all.
Yeah, all I know is Wall Street Bets. So.
So now, Roy, was there what was your kind of answering that same question? Was there a general competitive vibe, or was there more of a, I guess your take on that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that when you in the first week, for sure, there was no competitive vibe at all. It was very much let's meet each other. You want to know everyone else's background. You meet some really cool people with jobs that you've never even heard of that had sold their companies, on serial entrepreneurs. But definitely, as the courses progress, I mean, these are highly competitive people. So of course there's going to be competition. There's competition to get on the dean's list. There's competition to be hired by the best companies. If you want to go to Google or you want to go to Microsoft or Goldman Sachs or McKinsey, you know, it's very competitive. So I think the people are competitive in a way, but it's not competitive as in the first time they see you, they're sizing you up, trying to say they're better than you. I never had a feeling like that, but more so that people are interested to hear about you, hear about your experience, learn from you, but they're out to achieve. So if you're in their way, you have to fight for it. So.
Type A has been thrown around a few times this week. I don't know if I'm type A, to be honest with you, but
I know I'm definitely not type A, and I do think that it's a dominant personality in an MBA class. So yeah. I think in a way you can benefit though, because if you bring that more laid back mentality, it can be very complementary. So when you're working in a group environment, for example, especially if you're an engineer, and like Sharun said, you know, they look at you, oh, you must be really good with numbers. You can really contribute some more of those fundamentals without being a bully, so to speak.
Yeah, but along those lines, Israel, I find myself trying to lean into the stuff that I don't know, right? Like the financial stuff. That's the very reason why I am in school. If I'm stuck doing the quant stuff, then what am I learning, right? So I want to make sure that I get a well-rounded experience with the learning team, and make sure that everyone's getting a fair opportunity to do everything.
Yeah.
So that was a good kind of intro on the first week. Here, kind of just to wrap up, not to make this an overly long and boring episode to listen to. Just what after, and finally, you've been looking forward to getting to school and moving, all this stuff. But after week one, have your expectations changed? Have you like now kind of maybe refocused? Maybe maybe it's not as I thought it'd be. Maybe or how has that kind of shifted on what you're expecting out of it? And I'm assuming it'll change week by week, right? My expectations coming in as a freshman to undergrad where, I'm going to go and learn everything. I'm going to join every team. But by, college, senior year, I was just like, dude, let me just pass. I got a job. I just want to not, fail. So what's it like first week? after the first week, what are your expectations like? Alvin, you're already kind of.
Yep. So my expectation coming in was like, there's no chance in hell I'm going to go consulting. They work too many hours. I don't want to. I don't want to give it that work-life balance, but then I'm understanding more about it and the flexibility that consulting has, and you don't have to be traveling all the time. You can do a local projects and this and that. So I'm keeping my eyes open, right? And that surprised me. And what surprises me is, you know, I'm going to want to read all the cases, but I know that I won't have the time to do it. You know, recruiting is going to come up. I'll have to balance my social and family life. How do I willingly let it slide, but at the same time lean on my learning team and understand, you know, what's important for the classes and what I must get out of it? I think that's the biggest thing that I'm going to learn over the next few weeks, and how to balance my time, because week 0 is not representative at all of our time here. So I'm curious to see if anything this coming week will be a real rude awakening.
Yeah. So right now you're expecting to read all your case studies and then spend 2 hours and highlight and, you know, remember.
Make it pretty, draw flowers and all that stuff. Yep. Not going to happen next week. Yep.
Zoom through it and then just make it up as you go. You won't have time.
Yep.
Tarun, what are you expecting?
My expectations have not changed yet. The only thing, I think I've gotten more clarity on some of the things that were kind of vague coming in. I was like, okay, I know I have to do this, but I didn't know what specific person to talk to, what specific group that I need to go talk to. And like, so it was kind of a hazy idea, but now it's a little more concrete. Like, okay, I have to go talk to this group and I have to talk to this person and I have to attend these seminars that are going to happen. And again, echoing what Alvin said, I don't think I know how classes are yet. We had one mock class and that was really amazing, but I guess I'm a little skeptical because, you know, a trailer is always better than the film. So they probably send like the best professor. So the class that we had, like a mock class, was incredible. And I really enjoyed understanding. They were just talking about the evolution of businesses. Like they're like, oh, back in the 1840s, if you looked at the stock market, sorry, not 1840s, early 1900s, like whenever you looked at the stock market, there were 8 railway companies. Today, the first railway company on the stock market is number 46, you know? So basically they're talking about how no matter what kind of business you are, you have to constantly evolve to survive, or you're going to perish. So it was a great class. So I look forward to all of that, but that would be my answer.
And so now, Roy, you kind of have being already done with your expectations coming in, you recall what they were, and then coming out of it, did they change any, or were you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, the expectations of the first week were super high, and definitely they changed throughout the whole program. But if I think really back to that first week, I think I came in expecting to be a bit more intimidated by everything, but people were super friendly, and the expectations, it became a very fun environment, right? Like you work hard, you go to class all day, you have a lot of work to do, but these are people that you want to spend time with. You know, I actually just had a call yesterday, a Skype call with my group from my first period, and it was super nice to see those people, those 5 people, you know, really good friends. So I think my expectations changed from being like super hardworking, not a lot of fun, to expectations being super hardworking, somehow managing to have fun at the same time, maybe not sleeping quite enough, but I'm catching up on lost time now. I want to comment on Alvin's thing though about consulting. I hope you don't do that for your daughter's sake, but if you can find a way to make it work, then go for it. But I have a lot of friends in consulting now, and it's a great job, a great experience, but you know, you got to have your priorities in mind. And even if you don't travel, I think you're going to be working 60 hours a week plus.
Yeah.
Taking calls on weekends and stuff. So, but you know that. I know you get your priorities right, but I was surprised to hear you say that.
Yeah. Saudi Arabia for the whole year, not just 6 months.
Okay. I guess the big thing is just making sure like I'm not closing off any doors right away, right? Just being open to any idea. I know what I wrote on my business essays. I'm gonna have that as one of my things that I'll actively pursue, but also just keep an open mind. I think that's the next 2 years, just land of opportunity. You can go into anything you want if you put your mind to it. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good approach. And even if you don't end up like fully pursuing it, at least now you will know more like what do consultants do and how could they be useful to you down the road.
And why I don't want to do it, right? I want to make sure, I don't want to ask later, why didn't I try to even, why didn't I do it? And I want to close that door once and for all. Right now, it's so many questions that I've unanswered, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of funny, like, you know, I knew that I didn't want to do consulting, but then everyone was doing the prep for it. So I ended up doing like 50 case studies and reading case in point, interviewing with McKinsey and with Accenture. And it's like, why did I spend so much time on that? And then my very first week at the job at Eon, we had some BCG consultants in the office. And like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't go that route. The corporate route is more laid back for sure.
Are we going to talk about our brews at any point?
Where is your brews?
The Gap brews.
We were talking about
So I guess, yeah, we'll wrap it up now. Just be on the, I know this during COVID times, you guys won't get to network as much, but similar to kind of how we're setting this up, we want to be a little professional, but also enjoy the networking aspect of it. So hopefully week 2, you guys get some sort of ability to kind of meet some people in the outside of school part of it as safely as you can. But yeah, the Beers, Bros, and Brews, I went with the classic Coors here. That's all
I got a Gold Leaf Golden Lager. It's a Devil's Backbone Brewing Company. It's local. Nice. It's good. Sure will like it. It's really, really light. Lexington, Virginia. If you squint your eye, it tastes like Heineken.
And goes to business school and forgets how to taste beer with your eyes.
What's your beer, Sharon?
I have Kona Brewing. It's called Castaway IPA.
This guy drinks a Hawaiian beer. It's in California.
I know. So I found this beer.
Unbelievable.
Found it behind his apartment.
I did. No, we found it in Nevada, and we really liked it. And then we had not seen like a 6-pack, or like we couldn't find this anywhere else. But luckily, the grocery store right next door to my apartment had it. So we were like,
bro, we had it in Indiana.
I had not seen this in Indiana.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Israel?
I had seen Kona. I don't know about Castaway specifically. I know
Kona's really big. Yeah.
There's like that toasted coconut one, but I think Castaway, I haven't seen that specific beer. So. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that Sharun's an imposter, thinking he's in Hawaii just because he's next to the water.
Yeah. Think of all
gotta fit in somehow, you know.
Well, these
the bros, biz, and beer, because that's what we talked about in order. But I guess next week we'll start with the beer kickoff. Yeah.
I want to talk about my beer.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was thinking about Sharon's beer's got a bunch of CO2 attached to it, getting shipped over from Hawaii. Get the Stouter, the local Essen beer. The brewery's just around the corner from where I live here in Essen, Germany. And
so close, you bottled it yourself.
It's so close. Yeah, it's so close. I bottled it myself. We had a little garden party yesterday, and we had three kegs. But at home, there's always bottles. You get them in a case of 20 for 15 euros. It's cheaper than water. Damn. So.
Case of 20. It's a weird number.
It's an even number the last time I checked.
I know, that's why I said weird.
Goes to California.
Hey, one closing business thought. On the way to Indiana a couple of days ago, I listened to the whole Blue Ocean Strategy audiobook.
Hey, you did it.
What's funny is the references in that book are so outdated. They talk about Cirque du Soleil. They talk about Borders and Virgin bookstore. All of them are out of business. So I just think the Blue Ocean Strategy needs to be revised. It may be a COVID-19 version, maybe a 20th or 21st century version, but I just thought it was interesting to kind of hear those examples and And
But
think to myself,
they also did Nintendo and Nespresso, which are both doing well. But yeah, Blue Ocean. I went to this Blue Ocean Institute and took Blue Ocean lectures. They have a second book. I wouldn't say it's the best theory in the world, but it can be a fun one.
yeah,
Yeah. The Cirque du Soleil is really out of business entirely.
Yep.
I didn't know
Yep.
that.
they're bankrupt.
That's a
They
good.
filed for bank. Go ahead.
We can get into book recommendations. That's another thing we can add on here too, right? Something you guys are assigned to read, and if it's really good, I mean, I'd like to maybe follow along too. But so I'm gonna stop the recording here now. Stay on for like a little bit. After we'll discuss kind of
Cheers.
administrations. But yeah, cheers to the first episode of Beers, Bros, and Brews, Beers, Bros, and Biz. Yeah, we'll talk next week.
We'll get the name right.
And yeah, cheers, you guys.
See you.